Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Liz and this is A Catholic Mother's Journey. I'm really pleased you're joining me today. So today I felt the Lord wanting me to speak about the importance of guarding our hearts. Now this is the same as last time, the same verse as last time from Proverbs chapter 4, and it's 23 to 27, though this time I'm going to talk about a different slant on this. I'm just going to read it again. Just quickly, with all vigilance guard your heart, for in it are the sources of life. So we are urged to guard our hearts. In it are the sources of life. It's very important we do this, and especially in our current world and what's going on in the world. You know, there's a lot of evil out there, isn't there? We need to guard our hearts. So last time I talked about this from a slightly different angle. I was talking about who we're spending our time with. I really felt the Lord wanted me to speak today on this video about what we're viewing online, what we're viewing on social media. You know, what content are we viewing, and the importance to guard our hearts in this, because if we're viewing evil content online, that can do a lot of damage spiritually to our souls. And I really felt the Lord speaking this very strongly. So that's what I'm talking about today. There's all sorts of content online that's not good for us to see. There's pure evil out there, evil that's, you know, explicitly evil, but there's also things that might appear okay and they appear harmless, but they're really not doing us any good. So this reminded me of the sort of dabbling, if you like, that I had several years ago in the New Age. I didn't get very far, thank goodness. But I remember at the time not really realising that these things could be harmful to me. I've done a video on this previously. I'll link to that in this video if you wanted to see that. But the lines are really blurred because you think, oh, this is fine for me. Everyone's doing this. This is harmless. It's not going to harm me. But that's the sinister nature of the thing. You know, it's dressed up as something harmless or something good. But really, in reality, it's doing us harm. And I was reminded of this when I felt the Lord speaking to me about what we're watching online and are we guarding our hearts, because it's the same thing with that. You can so easily end up watching something, for example, some New Age content online, and you think that's fine, it doesn't look harmful, but it really is. And it can be even far worse than that. You know, pure evil online. You can view demonic things online. You know, they can just pop up on your feed even if it's not something you would normally watch. That's the problem, isn't it, with social media and the internet. We don't know what's going to pop up, and before you know it, you viewed something you shouldn't have seen, and then you can't unsee it, can you? The damage is done. It's already too late. You know, I heard a story recently about somebody viewing some demonic video online and they became possessed through watching this video. You know, that's all it took. Watching a video like that was all it took. You know, it's very easy for it to happen. People think, oh, I'm just looking at this out of interest. But, you know, it's too late by the time they've viewed it. Damage has already been done. And as we've been well aware recently over the past week, violent images, footage, scenes online that you can so easily access, children can access, and they've viewed it. And it's damaging, especially to children, isn't it? You know, I feel like this is a call to all parents out there. It's a call to me as well as a parent. What are we allowing our children to see? It's very hard, isn't it? Because these days teenagers have smartphones. Teenagers or younger even have smartphones and they can view anything. We might be able to put some filters on there, some parental controls, but really, is that stopping everything get through? I think it stops some things getting through, but not everything. And also we're relying on the tech companies' filters, aren't we? We're letting them decide what's suitable for a child of your age to see on their phone and what isn't. You know, we are the ones who need to be invested in this. And I really felt God speaking to me. So I'm not just preaching at other people, it's me as a parent as well. You know, we're not to be naive and think these things are okay because everyone's watching them. You know, everyone's seen that footage, everyone's played that computer game, you know, it's fine. You know, I heard about, I think Fortnite, very popular computer game. It now has, I think, a level where you can go and sell your soul to the devil. There's a devil figure in the game. and you can sell it for money or whatever it is you're trying to get. I don't know the game very well, forgive me, but it's shocking, isn't it? And yet people seem to be okay with this. Maybe there's an outcry in the Christian world, but it's still out there, isn't it? And so we have to be really careful as parents what we're letting our children be exposed to. We need to be more invested in it, as I say, and that's not easy. How do we do that? Well, it takes time, doesn't it? We have to invest our time in monitoring what our children are seeing. We've got to take that time, which is difficult to do when you're busy and, you've got more than one child to monitor and look after and do everything for. It's very hard, but we really do need to take that time and invest in them, because it can do a lot of damage if they're watching inappropriate content. And I feel I'm being corrected too. I think I've been naive in the past and thought, well, everyone else's kid of this age is watching it, so I'm sure it's fine. Or you can quite easily think as a parent, can't you? Well, they're just getting this out of the system. They're getting to develop their own filters while they're watching this stuff, and they'll get to the point where they know what they shouldn't be looking at and what's okay to look at. But if they're children, are they really going to do that? I think they need more guidance often from the parents. It's a big responsibility on parents. It's a huge responsibility on parents. But this isn't just a telling off and a correction. It's really a reminder as well. I felt the Lord was giving a reminder that he knows it's difficult for parents. He knows what the modern world is like. He knows there's evil content out there. He knows it feels like a minefield and you feel almost defeated before you've even begun to try and control these things. But if we take the steps we feel we should be taking, he will help us. We can pray for guidance, for your child. What do you need to be doing for your child, for your teenager? Is it okay for them to watch this thing? Is it okay for them to have free reign on YouTube, watching whatever they want? The Lord will lead you. Or if you feel you can't hear from the Lord and get that specific advice for your child, what do you deep down think is not good for them to watch? What have you got a sort of inkling about? Are you thinking, I'm not happy about him being able to watch what he wants on YouTube? Can you take some steps to control that and take that away? It's very difficult. I know if they've already started watching it and always had access to it, it can be harder to then go back on that. But we're doing it for them, aren't we, in the end? It might be a short-term challenge, it might be a mega challenge in the short term, but long-term, we're avoiding other problems, aren't we, further down the line? At the end of the day, we're not there to be their friends, we are their parents, and it's a big responsibility on us. But it's not to be discouraged or go into self-condemnation about it, or think that you've been given an impossible burden. Because if the Lord, what I have learnt over the years as a parent is, if the Lord is asking you to do something that seems difficult, he will give you the grace to do it. So sometimes you've just got to start and step out. Just make that small first step, and then he will help you, and his grace will meet you there when you've stepped out and done that thing. For example, you might feel like your child is just watching too many hours of screen time. Can you take that first step of reducing that down? And then the Lord will help you. He will give you his grace. If you pray, obviously, we need to pray for help, and we need to pray for grace, because we parents in this modern world, we need all the help we can get with this. And I feel like it's really underplayed in the world today. Yes, there are steps to change things and bring in legislation to limit what children can see online. And yes, that's very good. But it really is the role of parents to get involved as well. And it's so easy for the world to tell you it's okay for them to see all these things. It doesn't mean it is, because the world often dresses up evil as good, doesn't it? And good as evil. So we can't trust that. We can't trust the media on what it says is okay for our children to watch. We need to get more invested in it ourselves. If things seem impossible and that they're not changing even when you pray, you remember that nothing is impossible for God. So keep praying and he will help you. He sees your concern and he sees your heart for your children, and he will honour that. He will help you. Just keep going, keep praying. Things do seem to just be getting worse online, don't they? There's more and more dark content out there, it would seem. So it's really, really good. We need saints like Saint Carlo Acutis more and more, don't we? It's really good to have him to pray to for these things. As I say, this is not a judgment on anyone. This is speaking to me as well as a parent, so I'm not judging anyone out there. I feel like it's an important message, and it's obviously on the Lord's heart. It felt very strong to share this. So this might speak to someone watching this message. You know, it might be on your heart. It might have been on your heart lately. You know, and maybe you're worried about what your children are viewing online. Or it might be that you yourself are worried about having viewed something you feel you shouldn't have viewed, and you can't unsee it, as I mentioned before. So we just need to be aware of these things, and you know, I suppose we just need to be careful what we're clicking on and be prudent at all times. So I really hope that video has blessed and encouraged you. Please take a moment to like the video and share it with anyone who comes to mind when you're watching who you think might like to see it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I pray that you have a really blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. So until then, God bless. Bye.